Good evening, everyone. It is 7 p.m. I will call the Wednesday, July 5th, 2023 Board of Selectmen meeting to order. All three selectmen are present, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from June 22nd, 2023.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on these minutes?
When I read them earlier, I did not see anything.
Ken?
So they were fun.
Okay, and the only thing, Dottie, that I wanted to point out was under item 8 for our Public Works Director. The research was done by Beta Corp, not Data Corp, BETA, B as in boy, E as in Edward, T as in Thomas, A as in Amy, or Apple. So Beta Corp is the actual name of the company that did the road surveying. Okay. Any other, nothing else, right? All in favor of approving the minutes with that one minor adjustment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. We have 3 pieces of correspondence: the CCM discount prescription card usage, the Chamber of Commerce business after hours, which is coming up Wednesday, July 12th, 2023 at Dakemo Hospital. And then the last was a letter that we had received from Thomas Miller. And that's it. Any other correspondence to bring before the board tonight?
I have nothing.
I don't either.
Nothing.
Okay. Selectmen comments. Selectmen comments at this time.
I have a comment about Aquatic Lake.
Okay.
It was very quiet this weekend. We did see the presence of some DEEP on the lake. It was a lot, the weather wasn't that great, which might have played a role in it, but we did have a beautiful day on Saturday. And that was when I saw that the boat was, trolling around and stopping people, but so far we're liking it. There's not been any weekends that we've had any scary experiences or extra boats on the lake or unregistered or anything. So it's been good so far. So let's hope it stays that way.
Love that.
Other than wet and humid
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a couple of minor power outages. It was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
The only thing that we do have is the concert in the park. And if anybody likes Cosmic Stills Nash and Young, that I forget what they call them. It's tribute band. Tribute band. Tribute cover bands. Should be a great show.
Is that this Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't up on that.
No.
And I should have been.
Yeah, it should be a great show.
Mhm.
But there you go.
Yeah.
Wait, it's been going.
Tax season is upon us. Tax office is open, collecting feverishly. There were lines out the door all day today. So everybody eager to get out and pay their taxes. I was told because I'm like, oh, I wait till the end. But I was told by a few people that had been in line that they don't want to forget. So they come right away. So, but, hey, we're grateful for that. I wanted to pass along to Suzanne, you and Ken. This is some correspondence. Oh, this is correspondence that I've had, not correspondence that has come to us. It's between myself and Ken Slater in regard to the fire district tax that we've been discussing. So just take it, digest it. It's the start to finish our correspondence. I will just kind of give people an update. This is one of the correspondences. The first one was from our attorney, Ken Slater. The way in which taxes can be imposed for fire services are twofold. One is that the town itself operates the fire department and includes the costs in the general budget. So that's the town kind of taking over the fire departments, which we know we don't want that. The second is the use of a fire district. If a fire district is established, there is no ability to impose a tax on persons outside of the district. The only option to impose a fire tax for the entire town would be to modify the boundary of the district to cover the entire town. Then the district can levy a tax townwide and operate the system to keep operations and taxation outside of the general municipal government. But additionally, you'll see as the correspondence goes along, and this is for the public to know too, they've always discussed the Fire Protection Association that would actually become the mechanism to oversee the 5 departments. And even though the districts become one, each department would be assigned through the Fire Protection Association their own district, which they currently cover. So not too much would change, except for there would be that board that would govern over the 5 departments and decide what was needed and which departments would get new fire trucks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, but again, I just wanted to provide the correspondence so that you were in the loop on everything. And I'm just waiting to hear back. I had included Chief Grauer and Frank McGarry were part of the email correspondence, and I'm just waiting to hear back on how the departments would like to proceed. So I'll kind of keep you in the loop on that.
How are you
Just
gonna
things
reach out to the other departments? to get
Yeah,
their-
Yeah, I think through Matt and Frank, we were just gonna work together to maybe get a meeting of the minds and see
Right,
how they want to move forward.
sounds good.
The other thing that I wanted to bring to the public and to this board is on July 19th. That is a Wednesday at 6 p.m. We are going to host the developer of the River Mill project, the River Mill 929 River Mill. John Gumpert will be here. We're going to invite members of DECD. And then, of course, some staff people to discuss how that project is moving forward. This summer, we should be seeing relatively soon the actual cleanup, the brownfield cleanup. So it's just a chance, an informational meeting that we want the public to attend so they can be updated on the status of the mill project. Where it stands, where it's going in the next time frame, and what the developer has in mind for, moving forward. So mark your calendars. Again, it's July 19th at 6 p.m.
And where is that? being
Oh.
held in?
We're hoping to have it at the library. It's kind of last minute, but this was the only time the developer had to get here, so we're trying to throw it together really quickly. I will reach out to you tomorrow, Allison, to make sure that we can use the,
You said 6 p.m., right?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So,
This time is,
pretty valuable.
yeah, it always changes dramatically.
And that is all I have for this evening. If there are no other select comments, we can move on to citizen comments. All right, citizen comments. Any citizens? We're going to start in the room, in the Cine room. Citizen comments from the audience here at Town Hall. Just state your name and address.
Jessica Bolte, 1081 Riverside Drive. It's nice to see the 65 Main Street project moving forward. I know not everybody is a fan of that project. However, it's been a vacant building for some time. And it's nice to see that we're being able to use grant funding without any further investment on the town side to make a decent improvement to a lot that will be hopefully available to entrepreneurs in the town of Thompson.
Any other citizen comments from the Cine room?
Allison Bouchard, speaking as the library director, I just wanted to give you a brief update about the roof project. It's going very well, and to the point that we are about 3 weeks ahead of schedule
Wow.
and should finish the project this Friday. And then pending inspection, the project will be complete, which will have provided us a new roof with a 50-year warranty.
That's wonderful.
Thank you for your support in moving that forward, and the town securing the response for us, so.
Yeah, and
It's a good get on the new 30-year-old library.
yeah. And thanks to our Director of Planning and Development for getting us that steep grant. So that was
Brian Santos has been very hands-on, very, very attentive to the contractors being on site. I'm a librarian. I know nothing about, well, I know stuff, but not what I need to know to be able to manage that project. Brian has been very responsive and very helpful. And I'm very appreciative of his help
True.
along with Tara.
True, and I'm glad you gave him that shout out because I've seen all the correspondence back and forth with him and the contractor, so. Yeah. Thank you, Brian. I know you're not in the audience, but you might hear from somebody that we gave you a shout out. Any other citizen comments from the public here in Senate Room? Seeing none, we will go to the virtual audience. Any citizen comments from the virtual audience? Yes, Ms. Valerie Clark.
Valerie Clark, 105 Elm Road. I was unable to mention this at the last selectmen's meeting, but the calendar is still out of date.
Okay.
And there's a meeting tonight that is in conflict with the selectmen's meeting. It's a subcommittee meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission that is not listed. And so my second comment is, and I know I've brought this up before, and I haven't gotten an answer on it, there used to be a rule in town that subcommittees and committees could not schedule the same time, same meeting night. And it's very difficult to participate in the town government if you have multiple committees meeting on the same night at the same time. I had to make a decision tonight. I chose to attend the selectmen's meeting, but you get to hear about that I didn't get to attend the subcommittee meeting. It's an important meeting that they're holding because they're reviewing the regulations for zoning for the entire town. This is their annual review. So
Ms. Clark, do you know if the rule is something that's statutory?
I don't believe it's statutory. I thought it was a courtesy.
Oh, okay.
Had been requested by a selectman. And it was at least 10 years ago, but it was whenever the Ag Commission switched to Wednesdays, the 5th Wednesday of every month, which was tongue in cheek, because that was the one way to absolutely avoid a conflict. And we were being required by the selectmen to change our schedule.
Okay.
And
I will
it
look into
benefits
that.
the citizens.
Right.
So I'd appreciate that being considered. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Any other citizen comments from the virtual audience? All right, seeing none. We will move on to agenda item 7. I really put this on as a discussion point. I know, Suzanne, you had requested potentially going out to bid. I think because you've mentioned it a couple of times, I thought it was important that, you know, we make it a discussion point. And I've also asked the board members, I don't see Logan in the audience, but I did ask Logan, James Sine, and then Rob Wurge, who have been attending the board meetings, to also come tonight and share their thoughts on the service. But I think it's, if you wanted to
If
open
I
up.
could, yes, I think it's good business practice for us to at least look at what others are being charged or what other towns are contributing to their services. Was not a startup service, and we are contributing quite a bit each year. And doing a little bit of research, some of the other towns around us are not contributing as much. Woodstock is contributing quite a bit this year because they're investing in their own service and upgrades and additions. And I think this is something that we should, I don't think it is as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at it financially as let's start this process now. I just kind of Googled some other RFPs that went out from other towns. These are, some of them are older, but it gives us an idea of what they are, how they wrote their bids to go out. And I just think that, yes, we have a 3-year contract. It is There is an exit clause to get out after 6 months, or a 6-month exit clause. I think it would be a good practice for us in a sense. We did not go out to bid originally when we did this. We decided that we would take this direction, and I'm not saying good or bad, I'm suggesting that we go out to bid and see what other, and maybe we get no bids. But we did sign a contract that was for a 24-hour service and a peak crew, and I know we haven't gotten a peak crew yet. I'm not gonna sit here and criticize the service that we have. I'm just asking that we put together a proposal and go out to bid with this and see if anyone else comes in with a bid. And maybe it's a bid that's higher than what we're paying, but at least we have an idea, and maybe it's a practice that we do yearly or every 2 years or something.
Ken, do you have any thoughts?
At some point, we do need to review it.
course.
I don't disagree with that by any means. I think we're just over a year into it,
Correct.
going into it, so. You know, we're still getting the feel of them and getting, you know, our data and stuff. There is a 6 months clause. We did put that in just to make sure if we did want to do it, it's fair to both.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of variables that are with this, and it's not just going out for bid. I mean, even if you look back at the paramedic intercept program with AMR, you know, they ended up pulling out because of not enough call volume.
Mhm.
You know, so there's an awful lot of variables with this in order to keep a service afloat.
Right.
You know, and it's looking at call numbers in order to make it where they can pay the bills. So, I mean, I do agree at some point you sit down and see what is available. I don't know if it's necessarily this second, but you know,
But it may take us a little bit to put together a proposal and to put it out there, and then there is an exit clause, you know, 6 months, so.
It's
if
6
it
months
was-
from the anniversary date that you give notification. That you'll be going out to bid. I think the tough thing from personally is that, from my personal opinion, is number one, we just got into this relationship with them. I believe in the service. I believe the service is working the way we anticipated it would work. It's not a good faith practice to say, oh yeah, we're gonna keep, I agree that at some point we should go out to bid again. But I don't believe it's in the middle of a contract, but that's my personal opinion.
I would definitely start looking at it as we're beginning the 3rd year of the contract.
Right, yeah,
The most definitely, that'd be, you know, when that's coming up. You know, a little bit before the end of the 2nd year. And start looking at what options are out there.
Mhm.
But we're still getting a handle on this, a feel for what we're getting. You know, we're still going over, we have a voice in this,
Mhm.
the way it's currently set up. I mean,
And we may not with a different service, if we
you don't
become
think-
just cut and dry. We have a relationship, this is a relationship that we have with Putnam EMS and the town of Putnam.
but one of the biggest problems that we have to look at. Is when NECOG did their study. It was regionalization of ambulances, which was recommended 5 years ago, that, you know, you ride it out as long as you can. But eventually, because of the lack of calls and where we're at. You're looking at regionalization and merging because you're trying to draw all EMTs into different services, and we talked about this before. There's so many moving parts and everybody's scrambling, so if you got one service where they're paying, you regionalize it, which we did this way. And there's always a potential at some point, Putnam, I mean, Woodstock is gonna have to, you know, think about doing it as well. And that would, you know.
So
you know,
I reached recently, and I don't mean to cut you off, but Woodstock is actually doing very well. And they have invested in their service. They've hired some new administration. I talked to the administrator. And it's always gonna be a fragile. EMS always seems to be a fragile endeavor, and you're not in it to make money, but they've invested in it. And now they are very stable and looking toward adding a 24-hour, they've been doing 12-hour. But now their staff is built up and they're moving forward, so they're feeling very comfortable and confident where they're at. So 6 months makes a big difference, I guess, or a year makes a big difference in how. In any service, I think, and I
But
don't mean to
are-
cut you off.
are
but
they
I
not-
just wanted to.
Are they not at a 24-hour?
They're at
service
it, they're
yet?
at a 12-hour right now.
Okay,
And then they're moving to the 24-hour, and they're hoping to do that by December.
okay, well,
Which is great.
that'll be something, yeah.
Yeah,
But for them to absorb another town, let's say, like, because they're an
I'm not
option.
saying,
but
yeah.
They're an option, you have only a couple options, really. But to have somebody in close proximity where you can do mutual aid back and forth, we've got Woodstock, we've got Putnam. You can say KB, but that's a distance for mutual aid.
Well, I know that you're looking at it that way, but I'm not sure if an ambulance service is strong enough and they chose to have an ambulance station here 24/7, and the mutual aid came from Woodstock or Putnam. You don't have to be in this district, do you, to service this town? If you have a vehicle stationed here?
All I'm saying is that when Thompson is out on a call and needs backup, it'd be a longer haul from a Moosup ambulance or a KB ambulance, two of the other services in the area is all I'm saying. Putnam and Woodstock may be the only good option as far as having that immediate mutual aid from a combined service.
Well, and I see what you're saying, but we get mutual aid from Dudley sometimes, we get it from Webster, they come in when our ambulance is out now.
Recently, we only had Dudley come over and we've discussed this.
But they can,
But they came over because the chief called, as we saw it
Right.
in with the
Due to
discussion.
circumstances.
But there has been no other mutual aid. We've only given out mutual aid. Because the system is working the way we planned it to work. So why would we do an act
no,
of
that's
bad
not what I
faith?
was going, no, I'm not going to the Putnam side. And to say that they've done this, what I'm saying is another service from another out of this area could agree to station an ambulance in this area
Well, yes, I agree.
and 24/7.
But if that ambulance is out on a call and we need immediate backup, it'd be great for it to stay, the whole plan was always that it would stay within the service so that we wouldn't have to wait.
Okay, so what I'm suggesting is that we go out to bid, is we start this process of putting a bid together. And we look at what our needs are, and develop a plan to go out for a bid and see what comes in. And maybe we stay where we're at, maybe we maybe we come back and there's no bids. Maybe we come back and they're like, a lot more affordable, maybe they're a lot higher. But I think it's good for us to have this information, because we didn't do that a year ago when we were looking. We didn't go out for bid. We didn't put a proposal together like that and see what was out there.
Is it okay if I have the two people that attend the board meetings?
It's not really about Putnam EMS. That's
Oh,
what
I-
I'm saying.
oh, I know.
So
I
I'm not
see what you're saying.
questioning the service.
Okay,
I'm saying, I think we're spending $300,000 almost a year. I think that's 3 ambulances and 265,000. I think that is worth putting it out to bid. I
I
think
just-
that dollar amount alone,
And I
we
think
just,
Ken and I agreed, but I don't think that now is the time.
I don't think we should wait.
I think give it
every
another year.
is-
We
have
entered
that.
into a contract knowing what the amount was going to be. It's not a show of good faith to all of
But
us
we
and
didn't
say,
compare. We did not compare.
we were also under the gun to get out of something that wasn't a good situation as far as cost wise.
We had no ambulance service due to the collapse of it.
I know, but.
Correct.
we didn't wait
And
like
we
6
had
months.
the KB doing it.
No, and no one's-
No, I'm not condemning KB.
Right. Oh,
We
no,
had
no, no,
KB
I know.
doing it with X number of dollars.
Emergency.
Emergency to get the
Right.
24 service. And we had looked at that, we looked at the cost, and then we. Going back to, and I was on board with the regionalization because of the study that was done. Back then, and it made the most sense.
I'm not saying that we did what we what I'm saying is we did not look at other services. We did not get bids, we did not get quotes, we did not get any dollar amounts from other services.
But I believe there'll be a time. We entered in it eyes wide open. We entered into the
We
agreement
didn't
eyes
though,
wide
we
open.
didn't have other quotes or bids.
But we still signed a document. We signed a contract, eyes wide open, knowing what the cost was gonna be because it was spelled out. They didn't just surprise us with it. And I think it's a show of bad faith if we were to all of us, I am agreeing. At some point, we're going to go out to bid again, but I just don't think it's now.
I love the idea that you're saying faith, but this is about dollars and cents.
No,
and
this is
taxpayer
about
funds.
life. This is about life-saving service, and they are providing an impeccable service, and that cannot be denied. That is measurable, and they are meeting all of the metrics. So I really do want to hear, I've asked the two board members to come in. I'd like to have their opinion if it pleases the board
I would love to hear what they're.
Go ahead.
on just not the service itself. Maybe we can start with Jamie. What are your thoughts on going out to bid at this point? Oh, and you're on mute still, Jamie. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can
Yep.
hear you.
Good evening. All right, so from this process going forward, I'll be straightforward. I had no vested interest with any service. So when I looked at, providing a service for the town, I wanted to know what all our options were. And the group hired an EMS consultant to review 3 options. One was forming a Thompson ambulance. The other was merging with Putnam, and the third option was going out to bid to an outside provider. And they got all the stats and documents right from the dispatch center, from community, was able to give all their information from all their billing money. Putnam gave all their billing money information. And it was a consensus by the consultant, after doing a full analysis, that the merger with Putnam was the most financial and responsible option that we had. So when we say it's Putnam EMS and it's not a Thompson entity, well, when it comes to medical billing, you have to keep a name on a service. You can't just create a name. And in the contract, we have it written so the name can be changed. So once we know that this relationship is working, we can name it the Thompson Putnam Ambulance and not just Putnam EMS. It's built right into the contract. So it's not a matter of it's just Putnam EMS and it's Putnam. It's more of a merger, and that's why we divided the board of directors equally with members of Putnam EMS, Town of Thompson, and the Town of Putnam. So it's not an organization that is us hiring an outside agency. And when it comes to services, I review all the reports on a monthly basis. And I've been doing EMS for 32 years. In my full-time job, I manage paramedic level crews, and I'm pretty tough on the management of emergency services. And there's always going to be hiccups, but the stats have been pretty impressive. I mean, we had a fire today. It's 95 degrees outside. And that ambulance crew was down the driveway. They were checking every single person out. They brought people in the ambulance. They were getting everybody water. I mean, the system is working the way it was designed. Those people in the ambulance were amazing. And I can't praise them enough. And, when we talk about manpower is going to be a hard issue anywhere. My son works for another ambulance service locally, and last week he worked 80 hours because they don't have enough manpower to fill their crews. So it's not just a matter of, one agency, not having enough staff. It's all the agencies, because it's a shared resource. And the P crew, we were promised a P crew, but, the background story of it is, the ambulances that came from community, they had a lot of work that needed to be done. We were able to get one into the system, the newest one. The second one hopefully should be back in the system. If it's not, they're waiting for inspection, but that needed a lot of work. And the third one has so much work that needed to be done that it's not worth doing it. And Putnam had an ambulance on order, but it's taken 2 years for an ambulance to come in, and they have one ambulance that's been breaking down quite frequently, just like any other service. Our ambulances at work are dropping and breaking down all the time. So unfortunately, the availability of those extra ambulances has not been practical. So hopefully, with that second community ambulance actually going into the system, it might show a reality. But with that said, I praise the crews because they have managed to get to the hospital, do a quick turnaround, and another call comes in, they're right on it. And that's, at the board meetings, I praise them because, you have some services that get to the hospital and they like to sit around 15, 20 minutes where the crews know that they have to be ready right away for another call and they're right back out the door. So, I think that, I'm not, I don't look at it as Putnam EMS. I look at this as a Thompson Putnam venture. And, I hope once we reach those terms of the agreement that we can change the name, that we can give a name, and put that Thompson name on the ambulance, because we do have representation on the board.
Thank you,
I just
Jamie.
want to clarify, Jamie, that was not a merger. And that was what was told to me by the consultant. That we had nothing to merge and we are not merging. It is a contract.
It's a contract, but it's a collaborative effort to correct.
It's a contract.
It is a contract. But not
Yeah.
many contracts would you have representation on their board.
Yeah, and one of the things with that, agreement that we have with them was because they hold a PSA.
They currently do, yes.
Correct. It's the only way that they could take over the areas to be assigned the PSA, which was done. And we have that as part of the agreement upon official writing, if we decide to go in a different direction, that they will relinquish that for the next service. That happens the same way with the paramedic intercept when we went from AMR to KB.
Right.
So Killingly is paying $110,000 a year. Out of their budget for their EMS service. Woodstock has put in 215, but they've also almost matched it with ARPA grants, ARPA funding. And that is because they're investing in their own service. Brooklyn does not, their service is through their fire, through Muddy Brook, and they do not have a separate line item for their EMS. Those are the three towns that I looked at.
Rob, did you have anything that you wanted to share about anything about going out to bid or?
There's not a lot, Jamie did a great job, so there's not a ton
Right.
to add, but I'll add a couple of items. I got involved primarily, not because I'm well versed in EMS, it's really not my background, but having sitting on the board of finance and seeing the amount of money we're paying KB, granted they came here on a moment's notice. So what do you count? I'm not kicking them for their prices, but it was very, very expensive. I think it was running a burn rate of about $600,000 a year. So we came up with a solution that's less than half of that. And if that was an emergency type of number, perhaps they would bid lower. It is a contract, but it's a unique situation where we have all three entities have a voice. And we speak at these meetings, we challenge the numbers, we have input into the decisions that are made. We don't have a majority voice, but we have a voice at the table and we can help influence the direction of what Thompson spends their money on. I think for me, it's cost and service. So if there's a concern about cost at an appropriate time, I have no issue with going out and looking at what alternatives would cost us. Service we have is 24/7. And what I learned that we had before was not 24/7. We had one shift and then people were on call. So if you're on call and you're leaving from your house, then you have to go get an ambulance. I don't know what those response times look like, but just within the last 3 months, last month, the report out were 8.6 minutes for response time in Thompson. I'm told that's like world-class numbers, and be interesting to compare that to the prior data. And then March and April were at about 9.2. And there's been zero aid brought in. So by having this arrangement, we were able to cover for each other and keep the buildings under one entity. That's over the last 3 months. I didn't go way back, we're 1 year into it. But we have given aid to other towns. So just from my perspective, which is a little different, I'm not in the day-to-day, but I do attend the meetings. It feels like it's working. To Jamie's point about the equipment, we're also budgeted and aligned to have replacement ambulances on a set schedule, and we'll be leasing those so that we can get in the queue early and not get into significant repairs, get into older vehicles that are broken down, causing issues, etc. So, and I support what Jamie said. I will go through and repeat it all. We all heard it, but I think feels like it's working. It's a year in. Do we need a peak crew? We're still, I think, evaluating that. That can still happen if the towns really want it. We can make it happen, but the data would suggest that we haven't had a call for a peak crew, but that's still in the cards. And definitely the change in the name, whether it's Thompson Putnam or it's considered maybe Northeast EMS. There's some things we can do around the name, which I think will help solve some confusion that people think we're giving money to Putnam and they're just taking care of Putnam. There's really a partnership. That's what I would say. About a year sounds right, maybe in the final year of the contract. It's prudent to go out and bid and see what other options there are, but when we think about the numbers and we see other towns, are they getting 24/7 service in a very large town like Thompson in terms of geography to have sub 9 minute response times? You gotta keep all that in mind, because you can get a lower price, but what are you getting for that lower price? Is that what we want as a town? If that's what we want for a service, then we can make those decisions.
Thank you. What I had suggested, after Suzanne, you had made the suggestion, I went to, because we had the board meeting the very next day.
Right.
And I sat with the chair, who is Ed Higgins, Barney, and then Tammy, who's the administrator. And I said, hey, let's at the end of because we're at the end of the fiscal year for them, let's do a full evaluation, not only on service, but on financials. And they're in agreement to do that. And I'd like to provide that to the selectmen within the coming months. And that could help us, address any concerns. If that would please the board.
Well, any financial numbers
Yeah.
and stuff is always.
It would be nice to
Well,
have some
yeah,
financial
okay.
numbers.
So-
Like I said, I'm not questioning the service here at this meeting. I'm not questioning what they're doing. I'm questioning the cost of it. And we've given them the 3 ambulances and we're paying $265,000 a year. And we don't know if we could be paying less and have the same quality of service with another service, because we never did. We never went out. I'm not criticizing what we did in the past, because we were in a situation that we had to do something.
No, you might be criticizing what was done in the past, because I believe that you voted against it.
Absolutely, I did.
But however, I don't think there's a price tag on life-saving services, and you're putting a price tag on life-saving services, and that's wrong. That's wrong, because the service is working for the community. So that's just my opinion. And I feel very strongly that, yeah.
And we're only in this just over a year.
a year. I agree to go out to bid when it's appropriate, but I don't think the appropriate time is now. But I'm happy to get as many numbers and figures and facts as we can from the board. They have a new financial director who's doing a great job, and we're going to be able to really get some good numbers for everybody. So
That would be nice.
any other thoughts?
No,
Jamie, did you have something?
I just had one comment. The ambulances that came from community, they were sold to Putnam EMS at market value. They weren't given to Putnam EMS, just that correction.
Right.
That does
That's
come
true.
off of our.
Yes.
I wouldn't know, because
budgeted number.
we didn't really get a budget at budget season to see where that came off.
Well, I will make sure that you all get that.
But whatever
detail.
ambulances they took, they were
Yes.
giving us credit.
Mhm.
And it was.
It was
spread out.
100,000 for the first one.
Yeah, and it was
Yep.
spread out over 2 or
5
3
years, 5 years.
they weren't gonna give it to us one lump sum,
right.
it was gonna be spread out.
There's $20,000 a year for 5 years for the first, and we haven't gotten the number on the second because they were still doing a lot of work. But they also have to take into consideration that they delayed taking the other ambulance, so it sat. So, I mean, we'll be good negotiators to make sure that we get a fair market value. And maybe a little beyond, because we were holding it and we could have sold it long ago, so. But- All right, if there's nothing else there, we're gonna move on to agenda item 8. Thank you, Jamie and Rob, for coming today and sharing your thoughts. Agenda item 8, Library Community Center oil tank replacement. Allison, I have to say, I was very excited to see this because you know how I feel about the oil tank. So
I'm
currently,
glad you're excited, Amy.
well, I'm kind of scared at the cost, but there is currently an underground oil tank. We know Thompson's history with underground oil tanks. So the Board of Trustees asked to convey a request to the town to prioritize exploring the replacement of the 6,000-gallon underground tank and engage a firm to understand the scope of work and all associated costs to anticipate for this project. So that's the request before us today.
Oh, it's a no-brainer, we have to do this.
Is it something, Allison, that the board is planning on utilizing funds that are currently in?
Yeah, the capital transfer account,
Okay.
and yet, clearly going out and trying to engage with someone to understand the scope of this, that would. You know, be a chunk of money, and then we would most likely have to go and secure or seek funds for the actual work. I'm sure it's going to be a pretty penny that isn't there. So yes, the board is understanding that the funds for this request would be drawn down from the capital transfer account. Yes.
Yeah, we don't have a choice, tanks coming up out there every years. And we have to do something with it.
Mhm.
The good news with that is our building committee is well versed
I
in tank
need to
replacement.
go last.
Would it be a matter of charging this to the building committee?
I would send it over, they did the 2 tanks over there.
Mhm.
For that, they didn't do the tanks at the highway garage.
But it is a small, and it's not a leak yet,
It's
so,
I had 6,000. I think I have the biggest tank.
oh, it was bigger than what was at the school?
I don't know about the school. I think I have the biggest town tank
Oh, okay.
per Paula last week.
Oh.
So,
No, we got 10,000 at the highway garage.
oh, was it
82.
I'm oil, and that might be fuel, so
We're
we're
talking
talking oil.
diesel and
Yeah.
Right,
unleaded, which is.
Yeah, I'm
think it's
eating oil,
82,
so.
But that's an above ground tank
yeah,
that we put in, so we wouldn't have the problems anymore. Because if it leaks, the inspector, you're gonna see it right away, the way it's built and encased.
so. Is this something, since they have the funds, you have the funds, you can access the funds, we don't need to go to the Board of Finance? Correct? Suzanne? Ken?
Oh, I don't think so.
No,
Okay.
their money's.
So then
Your
it's just
money
a
is
matter
in your-
of putting
your-
the charge or
I would send it
adding a
over to
charge
the
business building.
building committee and come up with their recommendations, plan of attack on,
Would you make that motion?
make that motion.
Okay, Ken has the motion to refer this project to the building committee.
And I'll second that.
And Suzanne has the second. Any other discussion on the topic? All in favor of referring this project to the building committee, say aye.
I,
Aye. That's unanimous.
So as far as the oil tank. What is in your transfer fund for dollar amount?
Oh, I'd have to get the new number.
Okay.
I don't know. But
just
there
wanted to-
are a couple projects against it already.
Right,
So I wouldn't know the new plus because we were fortunate to receive funds in the new budget. And then the minus for the current projects in there. So I can certainly get that from.
I just want to make sure we weren't gonna fall short.
No, I think this ask will be minimum for us to get engaged with a firm to actually study what needs to be done, because I don't think we're gonna be able to bring up a 6,000-gallon tank with the footprint that's over there. It's going to be some reconfiguring and what impact that will have on the system, and so someone's gonna have to suss all that out. Because it's not just replacing the tank, it's, pulling in new lines to the boiler room as well. And those companies don't talk together, so it's gonna be more than one vendor. So that's why having someone to evaluate the whole project and all of its extending costs will be helpful.
Yeah, the removal of the tank and whether we put it above ground or back in ground will be done by one company, which is usually how it works. But we still have the other variables in the back with the cobblestone bricks and
Not
all of that stuff drive that we also have to put back into shape after.
to draw in the lines into the boiler room, that's from my understanding, that's a different, they won't connect it to our boiler equipment. So that's why we would need someone else. And the other thing to keep in mind is the timing of this too. Would ask that committee keep that in mind as well. I don't want to have to drive down and pay for disposal of or removal of toxic materials.
Right.
And so with time, hopefully we get the tank to the right point. We have a full tank at this point pretty much, so perhaps next spring with all the pieces together and the money known, the town can move forward on that.
Okay,
Okay, so that gives a little time. left.
right,
Oh, yeah, we have.
Yeah, that's
time.
ultimately, that would be the time to
Yeah.
all right,
do it in the spring. Time to order the tank, get
Yeah.
it all lined up, get the oil down, because
Yep.
we need it for use.
right.
But if it isn't, if there's no leaks, then it'll go quick.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
know, it's when we have the contamination
Mm.
or some leakage that they have to excavate more and.
It'll be more cut and dry for
Yeah.
sure. So, fingers crossed, yeah. All right, so that will move on to the building committee. Maybe. We did just vote on that, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, agenda item 9, request for gazebo use. Diane Jameson, oops, Dottie, did you say something?
I couldn't hear the vote on that motion. I heard Ken and Suzanne, couldn't hear the vote.
Just unanimous.
All unanimous.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we had a request from Diane Jameson for use of the gazebo for a community rally against hate. On Saturday, August 5th, with a rain date of August 6th. If not available, then August, well, both dates were available. So. Yeah, so that's the request. It's she's anticipating 75 people. There's no admission fee. Start time would be 1 p.m.
I'll make a motion to accept the request that's submitted.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion in a second. Any
And
discussion?
this is just an individual that's asking to use it,
Yeah.
basically,
Diane
and the
is one of
purpose is-
the,
a rally, but
right, Diane was one of the ones, she's a member of the NAACP.
Oh.
Her and Claudia attended the press
okay,
conference.
now I know who it is.
So.
All right, yeah.
And after the letter was distributed throughout town, she was inspired to, organize this community event. I think they've done some events in the past, her and or Claudia, that were similar in
I
nature.
think,
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I think one had to do with, it may have been with the bullying,
yeah, I think
if I
so,
remember,
right. So,
tied in with the school and that.
but I mean, I'm always in agreement for people that want to do some things that inspire goodness in the community.
Yeah, I mean, we
So,
have the facilities for
Yeah.
the right reasons.
Yep. All right, so with any further discussion? All in favor of approving this request for the use of the gazebo, say aye. Aye, and that was unanimous, done. All right. Agenda item 10, RFP 65 Main Street roof, opening of the bids. I will put out a caveat that the bid document stated that the price, the quote would not be read, to save room for, any kind of negotiations that might need to take place. So I'm just, so,
Well,
and we only have one.
Oh, well,
then it's not on the agenda.
Yes, it
Yeah, it
is.
is.
Oh, you didn't get the new agenda. You got the new agenda. It was revised.
Okay, I didn't,
So sorry about that.
did you get?
It was revised and this is the one that was posted online.
Yes,
okay.
So sorry about that.
it first went out without it, right?
What's that?
It first went out, and then a couple
Without it, and
hours
then it-
later, you
yes.
sent, yeah.
That
a
same
revised
day
one.
it got corrected. So just to let everybody know, we did have one bidder, and that was Young Developers LLC. It's actually the company that's currently doing the library roof project, 9 Hamden Park Drive, Hamden, Connecticut. So I'm just gonna open it, but we'll just be forwarding this over to the committee in charge of it. Oh, but I'll share. All right. And that is, I'm just gonna move it right over to that committee so they can review. And now agenda item 11, other business. Any other business to bring before the board this evening?
I don't have.
No.
Okay, I don't either. Citizen comments, agenda item 7, citizen comments. We'll start with the virtual audience. Any citizen comments?
Sally White, 308 East Thompson Road.
Yes,
And I'd like to hear the letter that Mr. Miller sent to you, or to the town, I should say.
I have no problem reading that.
Thank you.
In the not so distant past, I had an informal chat with Richard Benoit, former DPW director. At that time, Mr. Benoit was the head of Thompson's Highway Department. He was remarking about some of the highway department chores he had inherited, which made little or no sense. Among these was a directive that private roads not owned by the town of Thompson were to be plowed and otherwise maintained in certain parts of the town, while other private roads remained to be cleared or maintained by the respective residents living along those roads. Citing budget constraints and liability issues, Mr. Benoit stated he would work to discontinue the town's involvement on private property, including various roads regardless of past practice. I understand that Mr. Benoit's tenure with the town has ended and the town is moving forward with Joseph Tasek Jr. in the role of Highway Department head. In May/June of 2023, I was surprised to learn that the residents in the area of Little Pond, as stated in the Little Pond Improvement Association letter to members, are in active negotiations with the Selectmen's office to continue the plowing, clearing of private roads along Little Pond, which that isn't necessarily true. Sorry, that's my caveat. Nobody's been in any negotiations with me. By the town of Thompson's Highway Department. These include Center Street, Hillside Ave, Elm Ave, and Lakeview Streets, among others. I phoned Mr. Tasek and spoke to him at his office. During this conversation, I expressed my concerns over town resources, in quotes, manpower and machines, being consumed in non-town endeavors. We spoke briefly concerning every town agency being pinched this budget season. Mr. Tasek reported that he has been tasked with providing an assessment of the condition of the streets in the private section of Little Pond. His findings will then be reported to Selectman Amy St. After this, the matter will somehow be reviewed and determination will be made whether or not to continue town highway involvement along private roads around Little Pond. Mr. Tasek also stated there are additional roads or rights of way currently maintained by the town that are also on private non-Thompson properties. I spoke to on June 15th, 2023, I spoke to Renee Waldron in the town clerk's office. The clerk office has no record of any sale or transfer of properties around Little Pond concerning the privately held roadways. And her office was unclear about an actual owner record. Ms. Waldron referred me to the town assessor, Paul Hopkins. I spoke to Mr. Hopkins in person about the land records concerning the roads of rights of way around Little Pond that are not marked as public Thompson roads. His office holds records that these roads were once owned by Gwendolyn Parker, then her estate at the time of her passing. This ownership is now retained by Oliver Burton of Cheshire, Connecticut, in his capacity as plenary guardian overseeing the affairs of the estate of Gwendolyn Parker. So ownership is noted. These are not Thompson roads and remain privately held. Therefore, I state my objection for the use of town equipment and manpower and the exposure of needless liability in cases of reported property damage as a result of town involvement in the pursuit of tending to roads or rights of way or properties not owned by the town of Thompson. I'm anxious to hear the Selectmen's office position on this matter. Of course, I may be reached at any time for further clarification of my position, and I await your conclusions. Thank you for taking the time to process and consider this letter and my concerns. And I will say that we currently have a private roads policy that that is what Mr. Miller is referring to when he stated that Mr. Tasek is reviewing the roads. Every year before July 31st, our Public Works Director is required to do a review of all private roads, and if the roads are not adequate for plowing under the private road plowing policy, then the landowners receive notice that the roads will no longer be plowed. And currently that plowing policy is for 4 inches of snow or more. And you have to have a certain number of homes, I think it's 5 at least on a road. So that policy was put into place in 2012, I believe. And that was what we're trying to continue, is the inspection of all the roads.
I was on the board when we did that policy.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the intent, that roads got inspected, if repairs need to be done,
The owners,
they needed to make it,
yes,
so that way we wouldn't damage vehicles over 4 inches, and it was for emergency access.
yeah, and I greatly appreciated Mr. Miller's letter, I really did. So, because it lended some support to the work that we're doing as far as inspecting the private roads, so. Any other citizen comments? Any citizen comments from this neighbor? I don't have any tax refunds.
Wait till next month.
Agenda item 8, tax refunds. So that leads us to agenda item 9, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Suzanne has a motion to
Second.
adjourn. Ken has the second. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye, and we are adjourned at 7:56 PM.
Great.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Oops. It's hot.
Yes, it